evening, everyone, and welcome to Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner. This is episode number 270. And with me tonight is my very special guest. She's an actress that has done an amazing amount of work, probably totaling over 250 television performances combined with movies. And she is Pamelyn Ferdin. Welcome, Pamelyn.
Hi, Roy.
How are you tonight?
I'm doing well.
Welcome to the show. It is such a privilege and an honor to have you on. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And I just want to welcome some of our viewers that are checking in, and I want to say hi to them. Sue is checking in from Massachusetts, and she's saying hello.
Hi.
Also, Dennis Chevalier is watching from Canada.
Wow.
Jeff Rubel is out in Utah, saying hello. And Henry is joining us from New York with his wife, Tracy, both saying hello.
Hello.
And Jenny is tuning in from Australia, and she's saying hello.
Wow. How is it down under?
And Lou is joining us from Rhode Island. Hey, Lou. Hey, everyone. And Sue is saying, I still can't get over how incredibly cool your opening. Oh, thanks, Sue. Much appreciated. And Henry's saying, hi, Pam. Welcome. They're big fans.
Oh, thanks.
And my wife is tuning in. She's saying, hi, Pamelyn. Great to see you. Thanks for being on the show.
Okay.
And let's see. Vince is out there. Hey, Vince, my friend Vinny Fodi. He is tuning in from Stewartsville, New Jersey. He's also saying hello.
Hello.
And let me see here. Linda is joining us from Canada, Western Canada.
I love Canada.
And Bill is out there as well. Hey, Bill, welcome. And Jerry's also tuning in, saying hello. Jerry, and I apologize. I forget where you're tuning in. And I also apologize, Bill. I forget where you are at as well. I'm getting better with this, but thanks everybody for your patience. Jenny is saying, hi, Pam. It's great in Australia. A little cold at the moment. And she said she's a big fan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And yeah, I think I've covered everybody. So yeah, so welcome. And all I'm going to say is I can't wait to start talking about everything with you, Pamelyn. But you know what? Wow, in regards to your credits and your accomplishments. I mean, amazing.
Yeah, I worked a lot.
Oh, Jill Reed is tuning in also. And she's tuning in from Colorado, and she's saying hello.
Hello.
You sure did. And you were I remember seeing you, and I was born in 1966. I remember seeing you in the 70s and throughout. You were pretty much on everything. And then just going through your listing of what your accomplishments have been, and that just basically seals the deal on that. I mean, it's just, I don't even know. I don't know where to start, but I know where I'm going to start. And that's going to be, how did you get into the business?
Boy, well, when I was about 3, my mother put me in a play in our little community theater. And I think that the story goes, I don't remember because I was too little, but the story goes that there was an agent in the audience, and she was just so impressed with my performance because I was so articulate at 3, and she loved the job I did on stage. And so she talked to my mother. And first I was put into modeling, but not much. I was pretty much going out on commercial interviews. And then I started going out on pretty soon after, when I was about 4. I started doing film and television shows.
Wow. And then it just basically went from there, and then one job led to another, then to another.
Yeah. Yeah, I was, it's interesting because I like to say that what I'm so grateful for and lucky to have been, to have caught the end of the golden era.
Yeah.
Because that was the era where movies that so many of us grew up with, and television shows, and the stars that were really the first stars in film and television were still around.
Right.
And so, or some of them, not all, but you had the movie stars, you had the television stars like Lucille Ball, and they were, they were all still alive and working. And so it was wonderful to have been able to work with some of the just the classic iconic stars, like Lucille Ball and Gregory Peck and Jerry Lewis and just, I mean, I could go on. And it was interesting though, because even though they were such iconic stars, Dean Martin, Shirley MacLaine, I didn't know that they were iconic stars because I was too young. But now looking back on it, I really do have a much greater appreciation that I actually worked alongside some of the best actors ever in Hollywood.
Yeah, it definitely was a different type of period. And it was almost, to your point, it's almost like a transition period too, because the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, I mean, it started to evolve, started to change, the 60s and the 70s, and then even with the 80s. And then my favorite period, and I, when we talked the other night, really is the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I'm not taking away from anything that's done after that, but it's just, it was a different type of era. And it's like when you think of going to see a movie and you see, and the actors on the big screen, it really was larger than life. It really just made such a big impression. And I just think that time is very, very special for that.
I know. Because when we were kids, we would go to the movies a lot.
Yes.
And it was very awe-inspiring to see them on the big screen. And now, I hardly ever go to the movies anymore because I can stream stuff and, why go to the movies? And so it's a completely different era. And the shows are different. The television shows are completely different. They're a lot more, they're a lot more racy, and they're a lot more just kind of, I can't even describe it. They're just not the wholesome, funny television shows that we grew up with.
Yeah.
And so, it's a whole different culture. I think it's just a different culture. It really is. No. And I caught the end of this great golden era. I met Walt Disney. I mean, how many people can say that? I worked with Walt Disney.
That is amazing.
And it is. It's really amazing, and I'm very proud of the work I've done and the actors that I've worked with. Speaking
of Walt Disney, I'll just to ask you, how do you have strong memories of meeting him, and how was that?
Yeah, he was very nice. I mean, he was so he was polite, and he was gentle, and he treated me with kindness. And I remember the photo shoot we did, and he might have not been feeling his best because he passed away just a little while after that shoot. I think maybe 4 or 5 months after. Yeah. But we were shooting at Disneyland. In those days, they didn't have a Disney World. They just had one Disneyland, and it was in Anaheim, California. And the Magic Castle and all his characters, all the animated characters were standing there in costume, obviously. So they had all of the costumes on. And then Walt Disney, and then myself, and his niece actually was the other little girl standing next to him. So he was reading to us, sitting in a big, beautiful chair. And we were all in front of the Magic Castle, and then in front of us was a TV screen, and not one of the smart TVs. I mean, this was an old-fashioned television screen, and it was promoting Walt Disney's World of Color. So it was all in color, and it was great. It was great. And afterwards, we were in Disneyland. I had never been there before, so after that, we got to go on all the rides, and we got a free pass to everything. So it was.
That's memorable.
He was wonderful. He was a great human being.
Yeah, I can only imagine memories like that, how they resonate with you to this day. That's just, so powerful. And when you're mentioning Disney World, I remember on Sunday nights, I think it was Sunday nights at 7:00 on NBC. It was The Wonderful World of Disney. It was always on. And that was, it was.
Yeah. Before that, it was The Wonderful World of Color.
Okay.
So it was The Wonderful World of Color when things started coming out in color on television. Yeah. So,
and what a transition too, when you think about it, because a lot of the television shows in the 1960s, a lot of them, and I'm going from the sci-fi element too, immediately comes to mind is Lost in Space. The first season was in black and white. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. That was in 1964. That was in black and white. And then when they went to their second season, it was in color. And it was just like that much more spectacular. And what they did was they really tried to showcase that with whether it be the uniforms and the sets. And of course, Star Trek, which we'll talk about a little later, the same thing. I mean, that was in color throughout, but still it was a huge transition for that period of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bill is saying yes. NBC, Peacock, proud as a peacock. They would the different colors and everything. Sue is saying it was ABC for The Wonderful World of Disney. Oh, I stand corrected, Sue. And Randy's saying I was such a fan of yours as a kid.
Oh.
And Jill said Pam is such a talent and exposed also to a great talent, also to all those personalities. And Randy's saying greetings from O'Hare Airport. He's traveling right now.
Oh. Okay.
And Bill is yes, Bill and Mary are in Long Island. So thanks for reminding me about that, Bill. Sorry, I forgot about that too. And May is out there joining us from Canada as well. We are well represented from Canada tonight. Hi, May. Thanks for being out there too. Yeah, so I'm just going to put up a couple slides just to give an idea, just to let the folks know. I mean, and this is just a sample, a small sample of the different shows that you did. Now, the John Forsythe show I had heard of, and it's funny, when I think of John Forsythe, I immediately think of Charlie's Angels because he was the voice of Charlie on that show. And in regards to this show, this would have been one of your earlier shows that you did then, right? In regards to
Yeah, that was the very first series I was ever hired to do. And I think I was 5 when we started filming it. And it was filmed at Universal City Studios. And again, in those days, it was just a big studio lot with sound stages everywhere and a beautiful commissary where everybody went to eat lunch. Now, of course, there's the Universal Amphitheater and there's a whole theme park and there's tons of rides and everything on a hill right above the studio lot. And it used to be all trees and bushes and wildlife, and now it's all adventure rides and things like that. But it's interesting because even in those days, in the mid 60s, they had trams that would take tourists around the studio lot just to explain to them what goes on and who they were seeing, and they might see a star or two. And they would always stop at the back lot where we would film exterior shots for the John Forsythe show. Oh, okay. And I would hop on the tram and he'd take me to the commissary for lunch while I was sitting on his lap answering questions. And that was really fun. That was, it was, everybody was a family back then because it was still a studio system.
Right.
Now it's not a studio system. I mean, there's, hundreds and hundreds of production companies all around the world. But then it was pretty much a studio system located in Hollywood, California. And so everybody, including the big stars and the directors and the producers, the makeup artists, they would all go to lunch at these commissaries that each studio lot had. And they were beautiful. Some were from the 1920s. They were all Art Deco and from the Fred Astaire era. And everybody would go in there for lunch. And of course, the big stars, the adults, would be having their cocktails on their lunch hour. And they would go back and shoot, film and television shows afterwards. I don't know how they did it then. But when we were being seated, you would pass by all these stars, I mean, it was amazing. Dick Van Dyke and Doris Day and Rock Hudson, and of course, again, I didn't really know, although my mother told me that, oh, look at that. That's, Doris Day. So I knew she was important, but I didn't exactly know how much she was important. So it was a family back then. You worked at all the different studios. There were only about 5 or 6 studios at the time. Yeah. So you would kind of be working and you'd see people and actors from the other studios that you had seen. So you really got to know people. Whereas today, unfortunately, it's not like a family because the big stars, or I guess not even the big stars, but whoever really wants to, that has a major part in something, they have their own trailer, their own beautiful RV next to the sound stage, and they take their lunch in there. Yeah. So you just don't see everybody mingling together. It's a lot more separated now.
It's not as close-knit as it used to be, so to speak.
Yeah.
See, and that it shows how that time, that era was more, I'll say, family orientated, but it was large on a certain scale. But as you were saying, there was only so many studios, so it was just it was a different time in regards to that. And to be able to walk around and just see the different stars that you did, it for the casual passerby, it must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was. When I remember doing some of the shows back then, the Red Skelton show, and I did the Bing Crosby show. And so now, because I love to watch old movies and especially holiday classics, so whenever I watch those, I think, wow, I actually worked with those actors. So it's pretty amazing.
That's really impactful. I want to catch up on a couple of the comments. I want to say hi to Jeff. Jeff is joining us from Texas, and he's saying hello.
Howdy.
And Henry is saying, I think the business has lost something by losing that camaraderie and closeness. And I want to say hi to Michelle Dialto. She's joining us from Connecticut. And she said, I almost missed this. Hi, Roy, Pamelyn, and hi to everybody. And she said, in many ways, education is the same. Was a family, now not so much. And Michelle is a music teacher.
Oh, yeah. Even the music. I mean, remember when we had all those musicals? The Sound of Music and My Fair Lady and Oliver and just, I mean, on and on. They were so great. Oklahoma. I mean, I was pretty small when a lot of them were out there, but I actually, one of the movies I did that was a musical for Walt Disney Studios was the original Family Band. And it's interesting because it was one of the very last musicals that was put out, because there was a shift away from musicals in around 1968 to more realistic, and of course in the 70s, more gritty movies. And so that was one of the last musicals that Walt Disney did, the one and only genuine original family band.
Wow. Yeah, again, it's amazing how things just shifted. And then, as you were saying, with the 70s, every decade almost has its own tone when you're watching it. Like, you can almost tell a movie or television series that was made in the 60s or the 70s or even the 80s, and then even, beyond that. It's almost like it's just something that you can, when you're watching it, you can tell it's within that time period of maybe about, of 10 years.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Jenny commented, she said, the heyday of Hollywood. You are so lucky to have experienced it all before the modern era and all those stars. Wow, indeed. And Jeff is commenting. He says, all of my actors are a family, lots of laughs. But yes, the industry as a whole, not so much anymore. Jeff has a casting agency in Texas that he has.
Oh.
And let's see, Michelle said, I miss a lot of those old musicals. Love the old ones. I've turned my son on to many of them. And I think I'm all caught up there. Let me see. And Michelle just said, or how each decade influences the other. Yeah, that's very true too. And Sue is saying, but to your point, I agree. Hollywood has lost some of the luster from its loss of that camaraderie and closeness. Yeah. Now,
yeah, in a way, actually, to be truthful, I wish that I had been born earlier and would have been in the film industry during the 40s and 50s. Because again, I just think the golden age of Hollywood, and as your commentor, I forgot her name, said, the luster that Hollywood had is just not there anymore. And I think that's one of the reasons why I decided to leave the business when I did, because it was during a period of time in the early 80s when the industry was just changing. I mean, you would, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and into the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, you would go out on casting calls to the actual studio. Each studio, whether it was MGM or Universal or Desilu, they all had a casting office that you would go to interview for roles. And then in the 1980s, I mean, they would have casting offices for these weird production companies in like hotels. They would rent out a hotel room, or they would have an office in a high-rise office building. And it just got, to me, at least at that point, it got pretty sleazy. And I just, I just didn't want to, I wanted to keep the memories that I had.
Right. Yeah. And that, rightfully so, because, we've all heard those stories that, of things being very negative with that. And again, it seems like with anything, there's always a shift. It's something starts out small, and it's almost like I'll use the example, almost like a family-owned business. But then what happens is it's almost like the family-owned business gets bought out by corporate, and then it just goes into a entirely different direction. And it really seems to resonate in different industries. And obviously with this, it during the heyday, it was, the golden age. It was very, very protected and very wholesome, very just a different time, a different era. And then unfortunately, as things progressed, things can be positive as they progress, but unfortunately, there's that negative factor as well too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Jill commented and said the film was at that time past the major studio era and had different styles beginning to form. And Jeff said, and today nobody goes to any auditions since COVID. It all went self-tape, virtual, even callbacks are done via Zoom. Wow. Yeah, that's. And Bill made a comment. He said a lot of Hollywood is not even Hollywood anymore.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, Hollywood really has changed. The city of LA has changed. When I was growing up, um, of course, like all of us who grew up in the 60s and 70s, you could go out and take a walk around your neighborhood and play with your friends. And even though I didn't have many friends to play with because I was working so much,
Wow.
but I would even take walks around my neighborhood myself with my dog. And you didn't worry. I never felt unsafe, and my parents never even thought of not allowing me to go for a walk alone with my dog in the neighborhood. And so yeah, it started changing in the 80s, and people started it just got crime ridden in a lot of areas, and there were drug addicts that you saw on Hollywood Boulevard. I mean, Hollywood Boulevard, I remember going to movie premieres. Disney would send me to a movie premiere for publicity at the Chinese Grauman Theater. And then all those beautiful theaters, and they were just, it was just trashy, and there was garbage everywhere on Hollywood Boulevard, and the stores that used to be really cute Hollywood type stores were now porn stores and trashy lingerie stores, and they were boarded up, a lot of them. So I think it's finally come back now. It's had a resurgence, but certainly starting in probably the early 80s, I saw the collapse of Hollywood, at least the way I knew it when I was growing up.
Yeah. And let me see here. Just Henry commented, "You're right. I went everywhere by myself and was allowed to explore without any worries." Yeah. And Sue said, "That's really sad that happened." And Jill's asking a question, Pamela, and she said, "Do you think even talent is different between then and now, too?"
Yeah, I would say yes. I think the talent was they were more polite, and they were more wholesome actors that I was working with. I mean, they were just, the actors that I worked with as a kid, whether it be John Forsythe or Brian Keith or Shirley MacLaine. I mean, they all had a funny, good sense of humor, but were really polite and kind, at least to me and to the crew and everything, what I've seen of them. And now I think egos even though there were plenty of egos, in
Sure.
movies and TV in the early days, but I don't know, it just seems like it's a more rough, people scream at others, at least from what my friends who are still in the business and things like that say. They'll scream at people on this, on the set.
Right.
And I never saw that happen.
Yeah, different type of mentality, unfortunately. Jeff said all people were more polite and more wholesome back then, with a smiley face. Joel is joining us. Hey, Joel, thanks for being out there. He's saying, from a kid born in 1965, you seem to be on every show back when I was growing up. If you had the chance to go back in time and relive filming one of the myriad of shows that you appeared on, which one would you choose and why?
Oh my goodness.
Good question, Joel.
Hard question.
She's done so much, though, so.
I can't think. there were just so many. I mean, one that just pops into my mind would be The Odd Couple, working with Tony Randall and Jack Klugman. That was just a great time. It was a lot of fun to work with those two actors and the producer and the director. I mean, the whole crew and cast. We just fit together and we had a really good time. But there were a lot of other really fun times too, but that just popped into my head.
And to remind everybody, you played Edna and you were Tony Randall's daughter on the show, right?
Right.
Those two were brilliant, the way they acted, against each other too. Jerry's saying, Pamelyn, was there a show you wanted to be on but never had the chance to get on?
I think it would have been I think it would have been the Brady Bunch. I never got to interview for it because I was working on another series at the time, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a series that I was working on because I know I couldn't go out on the interview for the pilot. And looking at it years later, I think that I could have brought something to the middle little girl. I mean, not saying anything negative about Eve Plum. She was great, but I think I just wanted to try and see what I could have done with the role.
I definitely could see you as Jan. Vince commented, he said, The Odd Couple was great and you were great in it.
Thank you.
And I just want to say hi to Don Bethman. Don is out there. He's joining us from Delaware. Welcome, Don. Great to see you out there. And Jeff is saying, I saw Pamelyn on Gunsmoke just the other day. It streams 24/7 on Pluto TV.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Gunsmoke. That was a fun one. That was a lot of fun to do.
Do you have any memories of James Arnaz?
Oh, he was great. I didn't really get to spend a lot of time with him, but I loved the set because I was fascinated as a little girl to have basically the whole little town to be built inside of a soundstage. So they had the dirt, they had they had the fronts. Obviously, they weren't real buildings, but they had the exteriors of the bank and different stores along the street, and they even had horses inside of a stage. So for me, as a little girl, it was just impressive. I mean, I had seen things like that before when I did the original Family Band. They had a barn, the whole entire huge, enormous barn from the 1880s. They replicated it inside of a soundstage. So, but Gunsmoke was a fun show to do, and everybody was nice, and yeah, it was great.
That must have been so impressive. I can only imagine just being on that soundstage and seeing those sets, how cool that had to be. Yeah. Let me see here. Jeff said, yeah, you were with Festus.
Right. I was with Festus most of the time. Now, he was funny. I loved him. He was really funny, and he made me laugh, and he would give me a big hug after a scene. He was great. Very friendly guy. Very nice.
That's really cool. Henry said, I think she did a guest star on the Brady Bunch, and he said he loved you in The Odd Couple.
Oh, thanks.
And then Bill said, when you played Lucy Von Pelt, how did you feel about how the character treated Charlie Brown?
Well, that's interesting because I didn't like how the previous Lucy was so mean to Charlie Brown. So when I recorded the script on the interview, there were hundreds of little girls that went into a recording studio, and we were all given scripts. I mean, it took days. We were all given the same script for Lucy, and we would go into the recording studio and basically say the lines. And so I didn't really like how mean she was. So I played her more as a very intelligent, precocious little girl who would just get frustrated with Charlie Brown.
Yeah, and by doing that,
and if you want to know any more detail, then you'll have to let them know my Facebook page, where they can go and read more detailed information about my memories of my film and television career.
absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And I'll definitely come back to that too. And because your Facebook page is amazing, because I mean, you have been outlining a lot of your memories and your just the time in the different productions, and it's not just a small post. I mean, you're very, very detailed with everything that you post. So it's almost like you're reliving when you're reading what you have written about those shows in that time. It's almost like you can imagine the different things that you've gone through. So it's very well done.
Yeah, well, thank you, because I love doing it. And when I really think, I mean, every time before I post about a film or a television show or a voiceover that I did, I really think a lot about that one show and the people involved and how I got the part and the interview process. So I do go into detail, and I've been doing it now really for about probably since April. So if anybody wants to, when you tell them how to go to the Facebook page, if anybody wants to see some of the past posts I've done, I've already covered things like the John Forsythe Show. I covered Mannix. I've covered all kinds of shows.
Speaking of Mannix, and just really quickly, how was it working with Mike Connors?
Oh, he was great. I thought he was so handsome. He was one of my first crushes. I mean, I don't know if it was really a crush as much as he was just so, he just looked like a star.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was so handsome and with dark hair, and he just looked like a movie star, really. So he was great. He treated me like a little adult.
Aw.
Which when we rehearsed the script together, he didn't treat me like I was a little girl. He treated me like another adult actor, and he was very nice.
And I have recollections of just seeing him interviewed, and this is going back, from the 70s, and he just came across as a really nice guy. So it's really great to hear that, he was. So that's really, really nice. Jenny commented, and she said, the Facebook posts are delightful to read. So much history and details, wonderful memories. Thank you for sharing. So that's
thanks.
So I want to jump ahead a little bit, because I know we're going to be, cutting off around close to 8 o'clock. And I want to say I look forward to having you back on the show too, to do maybe a second part of our discussion too.
Yes, I will come back.
This is fantastic. But one of the things I want to mention is, because of my love for the series, and a lot of folks out there that love this series, is Star Trek. So with that said, do you have strong memories of doing the Star Trek episode "And the Children Shall Lead"?
Oh, definitely. And I've told this story a bunch, but William Shatner truly was my first crush of an actor that I was working with, because he too, like Mike Connors, was so handsome, even though he had blonde hair and Mike Connors had jet black hair. But he was just, he was really kind of, he was just larger than life. He was just very easy. He was very funny. He loved the kids. He loved us all. He was so cool to all of us. I mean, he really took the time to spend on some of the breaks talking to us. And of course, I didn't know at the time, but looking back on it, I'm sure he knew that I had a mad crush on him, like his little shadow. I would follow him all over when we weren't in school on the set, because you always had a welfare worker who would, the law was you had to have 3 hours of school a day. And, but on breaks and stuff, I would I mean, I never thought that I was impolite in following him around. I mean, I didn't do it all the time because I was a little adult and I didn't want to be a bother to him.
Right.
So I just would watch him, and sometimes I would go over when he was getting his makeup put on, and I would stand by his makeup chair and we would just chit chat. And then all of a sudden he said to me, "Pammy, I think that we should get engaged." So he smoked cigars a lot. And so he gave me a cigar band to put on my finger. And he said, "When do you want to get married?" And I said, "Well, June, I think it was the 15th. That's the day that school's over. And so I want to get married the very next day." And I've told that story a lot.
Oh, that is so cute.
I used to do Star Trek, and I do some now, but not as many. I used to do these Star Trek shows. And, oh boy, the last time, I think several years ago, he was there. And so I went up to him and he gave me a hug. And
Aww.
Yeah, He's pretty old.
I know, it's crazy. He turned 94 years old in March of this year. And he's amazing with, in fact, I just saw him up in Ticonderoga, New York. And I don't know if you've heard about Ticonderoga, but James Cawley has created the sets, the Star Trek Original Series set tour. It's up there. And it's basically a complete layout of the Enterprise sets as it was back between 1966 and 1969. So when you go there, it's like walking through the sets of Desilu studio. Exactly. Because he had the blueprints and over the years worked on these sets, which started as fan films, but now it's been preserved as a museum and it's licensed under CBS. And William Shatner is up there usually twice a year, and he does different talks and tours and what have you. And it's pretty amazing. I think you would love it.
Wow. Yeah, that would be very interesting. So they rebuilt it, or they actually used the actual parts of the set from the 60s? It's
actually rebuilt, but from the different folks, like William Shatner, when he went there, it's like he feels like he's at home. I mean, he sits in the captain's chair, and it's incredible. And they had everything, like from engineering to the Carters, the transporter room, the sick bay, the briefing room. I can't say enough about it. It's like you are at Desilu Studios, because it's the exact same layout, because James has the original blueprints from there that were given to him by Bill Tice. And again, his attention to detail is amazing.
It's probably built way sturdier than it really was in the 60s, because some of those sets were pretty, they weren't that sturdy.
I'm sure.
You could go like this to one of those screens and your hand would go straight through. So
I can only imagine.
Behind them.
Yeah, it's definitely impressive. I'll definitely have to put some photos up and show next time you come on. I'll definitely share those with you too.
Okay.
But that'll be really cool. Yeah, some of the comments coming through. Henry is saying it is an amazing experience. I've been going there for years, and it's still a surreal experience for a fan, even people that worked on the show. And Bill said Bill Shatner at Ticonderoga is a must see. Michelle Diato saying Ticonderoga is a must see. A lot of us are volunteers up there too, so and that's where we've gotten to know each other too, which is really cool. So all roads lead to Star Trek, as we say. Jill asked, she said, hoping to hear about Star Trek, which we're talking about right now. Also, she asked about the Beguiled, and she said, thanks so much, Pam. So I just, I'll come back to Star Trek, but in regards to Beguiled, you got to work with Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
How was that experience?
That was pretty amazing, the whole experience, because working on a film with Clint Eastwood and Geraldine Page, it was just, though I knew, and again, I was young.
Yeah.
So I really didn't look at Clint Eastwood as a huge movie star.
Right.
I'm not even sure I saw all his previous movies, but just from the way it was filmed, I just sensed that it was something big, that it was a big movie to be made. And we filmed the exterior scenes in Louisiana, which was a really interesting experience, right next to the Mississippi River.
Wow.
In an area that had the antebellum homes, all built in the 1800s before the Civil War. And they actually used one of them, which I hope that they went in and saved the mansion, because it was exactly like it was exactly like a mansion. I mean, it was a mansion built before the Civil War. It had a widow's walk on top to look out so that the wives could see if their husband's ship was coming in on the Mississippi by going up on the widow's walk. And but it was just terrible inside. It had been left abandoned for decades upon decades, and I hope they saved the house. But anyway, so we were filming in that context. So I really felt, and of course, wearing the outfits from the 1860s, you really felt like you were back in time, that it was really during the Civil War period. Because there weren't any other homes around us. I mean, there was nothing. You couldn't see no stores, no gas stations, nothing. So it was really, really interesting.
A lot of history.
Yeah.
That really must have been amazing. Just especially the architecture of those old homes.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to imagine that. Vince asked a question earlier. He said, do you have any convention or autographed appearances coming up? And he's using Chiller Theater, which is an exposition center in New Jersey. That's twice a year. Wondering if you'll be doing any type of signings or anything like that.
I don't know. I'm supposed to do a signing actually in January in Hollywood for the Hollywood show. And they're going to have, or they're hoping to have, a Star Trek reunion. Yes. So if they can get all of us kids together, who worked on that episode, I'll definitely be there with all of them. So I don't know. I haven't really heard of. I did chiller shows before, but I haven't done any in a while.
Yeah. No, well, hopefully that you'll make your way back to the East Coast. That would be great. And I know the Hollywood show is a huge, it's something that usually goes twice a year. And next year is the 60th anniversary of Star Trek too, with its premiere in 1966. So that's going to be a huge, next year is going to be a big deal for Star Trek.
Yes.
Sure. There's going to be a lot going on.
And it'll be great because I haven't seen my co-stars in years. We did a reunion Hollywood show about, boy, I think it's been 10 years ago. So I haven't seen him in 10 years. So it'll be really fun. It'll be fun.
No, that'll be really, really cool. I know I'm up against the clock, so I'm going to kind of wind down. There's so much more I want to talk about. I do want to talk about Space Academy, but what we're going to, if you're good with it,
Yeah.
I don't want to, we'll talk about that the next time you're on.
Okay.
And I'd love to have you back on in the month of August, as long as that works okay with your schedule. But I'll definitely touch base with you on that.
Okay.
And I just want to put up your website just so folks can see that real quick. And then also, let me see here. And your website is really easy. It's www.pamelynferdin.com.
Yes.
And I encourage everybody out there to please check it out. Now, Pamelyn, in regards to your Facebook page, where should they go directly to? And
well, just look at, if you're on Facebook, just look for Pamelyn, Pamelyn, Ferdin, F as in Frank, ERDIN. And I have a professional Facebook page, which, like we talked about earlier, once a week, I try and do it every Saturday. I post something about one of the films, television shows I've done and my memories from that. So if you're not on it now, go back, look at some of the past posts, because I think some of them are really interesting. So if you're not caught up, especially the one and only genuine original family band, I did that in 3 parts because there's so much. I have so many memories and details of the Walt Disney Studios, and driving from the Walt Disney Studios, or not driving, taking a bus. They put us on a bus to go from the Walt Disney Studios. It was called Walt Disney at the time. I think it's just Disney Studios now, but in those days it was Walt Disney Studios, and we would take a bus to his ranch, the Walt Disney Ranch, about 35 minutes north of the studio. And the ranch was incredible. It was great. So anyway, you can catch up.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, just envisioning that has to be pretty amazing. So yes, if everybody, what I can do too is after the show, I will put a link for your page onto the show's page. That way, all they have to do is click the link, and that way they can go directly there. That way they can be directed there too. And some last minute comments. Let me see here. Henry just said, I can't wait for the next time. Thanks, Pamelyn, for coming on Roy's show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks.
And Dennis is saying, live long and prosper. Jeff Rubel saying, great hearing from you, Pamelyn. And Michelle Diato saying, thank you for all the wonderful stories. And I think pretty much got everything.
Isn't this it?
Yes, that's it. Live long and prosper. So with that, everybody, I'm going to not go through all the shout outs tonight. I'm just going to kind of bypass that, but stay tuned for information. I will post about Pamelyn being on the show, hopefully within the month of August. We'll definitely catch up with everybody. I just want to say have a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in. And again, live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. Thank you, Roy, very much.